As we take our very final stitch, joining our final arc to the first arc, we position ourselves perfectly to begin the wraps that will take us up to the arc that remains to be made at the tip of the point. After a few wraps, we will reach the right level to begin this final arc. And what we'll do is we'll throw our thread out to one of these tack stitches along the edge, along the perimeter of the point, come back to center, pierce through our foundation threads, and throw to the other side. Piercing through the foundation threads is very important because it helps secure the central point of the arc, allowing us to work comfortably without worrying about shifting any of the threads. We'll work 4 buttonhole stitches, picot, 4 buttonhole stitches, and then move to the other side, throw to the outer edge, and work our way back to center with the same 4 stitches, picot, 4 stitches. Once all of our stitches and picots are complete along this arc, we then return to the center spine and wrap our way up to the tip. Again, we've practiced all of these skills in every segment of this piece of lace. This is one of the reasons why I chose this particular set of patterns, is that it repeats so often it gives you opportunities to learn new things and master a set of skills within a single repetition of this lace. Now that we're at the point, we will run our needle and thread down along the right side of the point, which we left kind of empty with only one strand, of thread along the border. Now we'll run down to the bottom, we'll come up through the stitch on the top of the square, and then we will begin buttonholing our way along this edge. So we'll work our way towards the design intersection where the two arcs meet, and then we're going to throw backwards to the beginning, creating an arc that we can then work over. So in this way, we're actually executing the border and the arcs with picots along the outer edge all in a single pass. I think this is really efficient, and I think also it's one of the sort of genius elements of making lace like this is this two steps forward, one step back kind of mentality. And this particular movement, this particular step in making the border around the point is a really great example of how that works. In order to make the stitches along this arc, at least the first half of them, I actually have to put the card flat on the table. You can see that I'm holding it secure with the fingers of my left hand while making the stitch with my right hand, and then I use the needle to brace the shape of the loop as I tug against it in tension. And this is very important, otherwise your stitches won't be even along the edge of the loop. Now, once you're halfway through the loop, you should be able to pick the card up and continue to work evenly to the end of this arc. And what we'll do is we'll make this first arc, and then we'll make the first arc, and then we'll move on to the second arc. And about halfway through covering the second arc with buttonhole stitches, we will then throw back to this first arc and create the third arc that is stacked on top of the previous two. And this is one of those genius moments that I was talking about with the way that there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and the way that lace works. So now that I'm done with the first arc, I'm working my way across the bottom of the next arc. And this means that I'm going up the side of the point, and I'll reach the level of the second arc in just mere moments. I'm just finishing up these stitches, and then here we are, throwing back for the second arc. Now I'll work really hard to make sure that this arc is as uniform as the first one. I want to try to keep them in the same size and shape. Something to note is that as you're working an arc, the foundation threads will become much more curved and lift out from the foundation line. So I tend to make them a little bit flatter an arc when I'm just throwing the foundation stitches. Then I make them flatter than I expect them to be when they're complete. That way I'm not overcompensating and having arcs that are actually too tall. So here I am working these stitches, and you'll see me get about halfway through them, and then I'll throw another set of threads back toward the previous arc. So I'm here, and I'm just about halfway done with this, and then look. I throw this thread back to the previous arc, and I begin a third one. So this arc will be slightly broader. You see how I'm testing the height of it by giving a little tug with the needle on the twin threads so that I can really see what the shape is going to be like. And I do this frequently because I want to make sure that I have arcs that are all very uniform. So I really want to look at them as I go. Now with this one, I have picots involved. So I will probably make, I'm guessing, about 6 stitches, and then picot 3, picot 3, picot 6. And that will cover the whole large top arc, as well as giving us these beautiful little triple picots around the outside edge that give a very lacy feel to the work. Alright, first picot is going, and I'm just going to jump ahead here because, you know, buttonhole stitches and picot should be second nature to you at this point in the process, and doing them on this arc is no different than doing them in any other location. The only difference is that the the loops that we're making around the edge are a little bit more free, and you can lift them up higher, and it takes a little bit more control. You'll get the hang of it pretty quick though. If you want to add a simple edging onto, let's say, a handkerchief, you can work this same kind of triple loop with picot edging right onto the edge of a piece of fabric. You don't have to have a template, you don't have to do anything. And it's one of the reasons why I like showing this particular edging and showing how to do it, is because it's done very much freehand. And working many, many pieces of lace using this style of edging is what brought me to the discovery that I could do needle lace, complex needle lace, freehand. Now that'll be shown in another video series, but this particular step in making lace points is one of the things that woke me up to the possibility. As I finish up the final picot here, just know that the remainder of this is actually quite easy. First, you will finish this picot and then continue to work your way down the large outer loop, and then you just jump right down onto the bottom loop and work your way down the side of it. It's just one continuous line of stitching. It's really quite simple, and I think that once you've done it a couple times, it'll become second nature to your hands. For me, was a very rewarding part of learning how to make lace, was learning how to do these loop picot edges. And you can see we're just now taking the last stitch and now the first stitch onto the lower loop, and there's no special magic to it. You just jump right down and keep going on the loop below. Now I changed the proportions of these picot loops around the outer edge, and I mentioned that in the very first video. So you'll be able to see how I execute this. There'll be 2 sets of 3, and then there'll be a triple set right around the point, and then 2 sets of 3 down the other side.